Hi, I'm Melissa Sinanu, the president of Classworks. There have been some important changes in special education law that apply to all district leaders. The Progress Center held a symposium in August, and one session focused on helping special educators maintain compliance with the new laws in mind. The webinar was quite informative, but it was also quite long. Here is our 5-minute takeaway of their findings and recommendations. You can find the full session slides and recordings at promotingprogress.org. So many hearings and lawsuits center around whether or not a district is providing a student with a free appropriate public education, or FAPE. The 2017 Supreme Court case of Andrew F. versus Douglas County Schools added some key expectations for students receiving special education services. Primarily, the courts rejected the concept of minimal progress being acceptable. Instead, an IEP must aim to help the student make progress with a plan for both academic and functional advancement. Before this, an IEP could focus on one skill without confirming that skill related to progress in a larger context. A basketball analogy. My old IEP could focus on how many times in a row I could dribble. My new IEP has to independently measure if improving my dribbling skills translates to points in the game. If it doesn't, the IEP must be rewritten. And in this case, not having an IEP focused on measurable progress cost the district. They ultimately paid $1.3 million from their general fund to the student and their family as reimbursement for tuition. Plus, the 2023 Sturgis ruling from the Supreme Court opens the door for lawsuits to include not just remedies, but also damages. However, even hearings constrain a school district's budget at an average cost of $18,000 to $50,000. And many districts are struggling to be compliant with these new expectations. So now let's go through the experts' recommendations. First, avoid procedural violations like not involving parents in the development of an IEP or assigning a student a specific program before their IEP is developed. Second, craft meaningful IEP goals each year based on current data. Avoid recycling IEPs year after year. Classworks has a valid and reliable screener that will tell you the student's present academic level and suggest skills they are ready to learn. Growth on a valid screener or progress monitoring may be used to measure a student's progress on their IEP. Measuring mastery of a single skill is not typically sufficient. Promoting Progress and NCII both stress the importance of weekly progress monitoring with a valid and reliable tool. Classworks includes valid and reliable progress monitoring that automatically graphs student rate of improvement. We help districts implement the right progress monitoring without adding more work for teachers. A noteworthy point in this session was that failure to collect weekly progress monitoring data is a red flag to lawyers. This quote says it all. When I have a school district with a FAPE case, the first thing I do is go to the teacher and say, give me information on your student's progress. If the teacher doesn't have data, I consider advising the school district to settle. IDEA also says parents should receive updates about their students' IEP progress at least as often as they receive general education report cards. Classworks generates progress reports that show growth over time in an easy-to-read graph. Recommendation number 6 is what is formally known as data-based individualization. You provide services to a student. Separately, you use an independent tool to monitor growth. If the data says the student isn't growing, you reconvene and make changes. Very few districts do this effectively because they don't progress monitor with reliable weekly data. And this leaves districts vulnerable to litigation. Classworks offers professional development about how to effectively implement each step of the DBI process. The key to the final recommendation is finding the time and place for IEP services and clearly communicating the plan for when and where they will be delivered. While the webinar had a lot of other great information in it, these are the highlights. Following these recommendations helps ensure student success and protects districts from costly and time-consuming litigation. Classworks partners with districts to provide the best chance for all learners to achieve their goals. You can visit us at classworks.com to learn more.